Born in Richmond, Virginia. I went to St. Catherine's School and I played anything they would let me play. A lot of hockey and lacrosse and basketball I played from 9th grade on just because I had to do something. I went to William & Mary and I had, during my time, I played 2 sports, played hockey and lacrosse. And my major was, I guess it would be kinesiology today, and health sciences. It was actually physical education back then. So heavily science-based, so if I were titling it from today's terms, I would say kinesiology and health sciences. And my coaches were my biggest influences as far as becoming role models for me. In field hockey I had Nancy Porter, who is still has to have the most the highest winning percentage of any coach here. We went to nationals twice during my college days under Nancy, and she just had such a great attitude about sports. I learned a lot about sport psychology and philosophy of sport with her. And with Joy Archer, who coached me in lacrosse, Joy was just a lacrosse icon. And Joy was about the spirit of the game and you know, having fun, but still having serious fun, I guess, is a good way to put it. Joy was one of the brightest people I've ever met, and just had this incredible vocabulary. And so I learned, you know, words like copacetic and I don't know. There's a bunch of them that she used to throw out, and we would all be, what did she say? What does that mean? And we'd be running back and looking up our dictionaries. You know, this is before personal computers. Left William & Mary, I went to Virginia to study sports medicine. And during that time I had an internship, or an assistantship I should say, at Longwood College. And so naturally they put me with field hockey and lacrosse as a training assignment. And so I kind of became an assistant coach / trainer for those sports, and then from there I went to the University of Richmond. And at the time Richmond was Division II. At the time Longwood was Division I. And we went to nationals, and I think we might have gone in both hockey and lacrosse in Division II that one year while I was finishing up my degree. And from there I went to Williams College in Massachusetts. Williams was Division III, terrific program, and I was actually there as an interim head lacrosse coach while the Chris Mason Larson was the Chris Mason Larson. I have to look that up. Anyway, I think it was Chris Larson Mason was on the U.S. team, and so she was training for the Olympics. And when we qualified, the position opened up, and again, so they asked me to be there for a second year. But in the meantime, I wanted to get a full-time job and not just an interim position. So I applied to a couple of schools, and I actually had an interview to be head women's athletic trainer at Bucknell. I had an interview scheduled there, and I had an interview scheduled at Connecticut College for head hockey and lacrosse coach. And the Connecticut interview came up first, and they offered it to me right there, and I accepted it instead of going for the training job. So I never looked back. I had a foot in both camp for a number of years, and then because at Williams I was also a trainer during the winter, so it was really weird. An assistant basketball coach too. So after 4 years at Connecticut, I got the call from Gene Stetler, who preceded me as head hockey coach, and she said she was leaving, and I immediately broke out into a sweat because I felt like that was my destiny. And I loved Connecticut, I loved New England, I didn't want to leave, but when I hung up the phone, I was like vibrating because I felt like this is gonna hurt. There's gonna be a lot of change coming up, and I'm gonna be working very hard. So that's how I happened to come back. Williamsburg's always been special to me because when I was a little kid, my mom would bring me down here. She loved Williamsburg. Their house was painted Williamsburg colors. There were Williamsburg books everywhere. So I have a really strong association with my youth, with my mom, my family coming down here. But today, I just love the size of the town and the fact that the historic area is so accessible. You know, I'll walk my dogs down in CW and go shopping down there or whatever, but it's just, you know, farmers market. I love that small town feel. I love going to dinner someplace and seeing somebody you know, or going shopping and running into somebody. I really like that. I enjoy that. But it's big enough that now there's a little bit more to do than there used to be. But I think it's a wonderful location. It's near water, which has always been a priority for me, and meaning the York River, the James River. You're an hour from the beach, you're an hour from the city in Richmond, so I just think it's a great location. It's like the best of all those worlds kind of combined into a smaller, not so much rural anymore, but just a really nice place to live. I've loved it. Loved both sports, loved coaching lacrosse, loved playing both, loved coaching hockey. I think if fate would have had it, that the lacrosse job would have opened up first, that I would have applied for that, you know. I think hockey and lacrosse at the time shared a more, there were more people who did both than there are today. I mean, hardly anybody plays both, hardly anybody coaches both anymore. But at the time, I felt like I was equally strong in both. When I found out that the job was open and I came down here, I spent my first year, I think I did 7 camps and did coaching forums and did, you know, lots of training things to kind of get myself ready again for that level. But coming back to your alma mater is always special, and I was thrilled to be able to assume that new role. But I think just being Williamsburg and being William and Mary obviously had a real family kind of connection for me, and I wanted to coach at Division I. I mean, Division III is terrific, but I wanted to be able to coach at a higher level and have my players be able to execute the things that I could think up. That was one thing at Division III. We weren't always able to execute, you know, a game plan the way athletes are in Division I. But I mean, I won't say it was a slam dunk, because I did struggle with the decision, because it did impact my life significantly to leave where I had been for a good amount of time. But you know, in the end, I felt it was a calling. I would say the place that probably any body of water is always good, but the place that speaks to my heart the most is just an hour from here, and that's Deltaville, where I spent all my summers as a kid. Not very glamorous, very country in fact, but it just feeds my soul in a way that not many places do. As far as, you know, anywhere in the country, Yosemite National Park blew my mind. That was just an incredible place. I'd love to go back there. Well, certainly my coaches. I get very inspired by my assistant coaches. I've been so fortunate to work with some incredible people, and in so many ways, I'm inspired every day I walk in the office by the coaches that are on that hallway. You know, I became a head coach really early in life. I think I was 23 when I was a head coach. And so I didn't spend a lot of time as an assistant kind of modeling after a lot of different head coaches. So it's really been more of a peer mentorship, I think. And I steal ideas from other coaches all the time. And certainly, you know, my own coaches have had a tremendous role in that, but I'm inspired every day I walk into the office and Tess and Wes are sitting there brainstorming about something, and I love the intellectual curiosity that goes on in our offices, you know, especially with Wes. You know, she's just she and I sit and have the funkiest conversations about the weirdest things, you know, conservation and, you know, computers and whatever. I mean, we're both, I think, a little nerdy in that regard. My other activity is I play in a band. It's a Christian band at my church that I've been in now for almost 15 years, I guess. So my first real job was playing guitar at King's Dominion. So, so I guess you could say I'm a semi-professional musician, but that's taken up every Thursday night for the last 15 years. I've been working on that, and Sundays. So when I can, I have to take off during the hockey season. I picked William & Mary initially because it was, I thought, a great distance from Richmond, where I grew up. It was close enough I could get home if I needed to, but far enough away it was like a whole other world. And it was also close to the Chesapeake Bay, and I really was planning on being a marine biologist. And chemistry kind of shot that out of the water, but I was interested because VIMS was right down the road from William & Mary and was a part of William & Mary. So that was one of my big interests growing up.